Thanks for staying with us. Now, the abandoned 1,500 Saglemi housing project located on the Accra Flower Road in the Greater Accra region will remain unoccupied for a few more years. That's according to Minister for Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, who has indicated that the apartments will not be in use until essentials such as water and electricity are provided. The apartments were constructed during the Mahama administration, but government has commissioned a probe into the project after reports suggested the contractor was paid about 98% of the project sum, although 3,500 more apartments are yet to be built. Joy News' Joseph Akable visited the site recently, and here's what he found.
The housing project, pegged at $180 million, rests on a 300-acre land off the Accra Flower Road. 1,502 housing unit facility comprising 1 to 3 bedroom apartments and townhouses were to be built. They were expected to be sold at subsidized rates for low-income earners to afford. It is to be a complete city with industrial and recreational facilities, schools, shopping malls and other social amenities. It forms part of Ghana's push to tackle its housing deficit that has for years been pegged at 1.7 million. Very beautiful housing units one can observe when you are using the Accra Flower Road. It is the Saglemi housing project. From afar, it looks completed and occupied by people. But a closer interaction with sources within the unit tells Joy News that the project has been abandoned since the change in government. By abandoned, our sources explain to us that there hasn't been any progress in the work. The second fact that may be disappointing to those who may see the beauty of this project is the fact that it is not completed. And that is what our sources tell us. They go a step further to inform us that parts of the various units have actually been taken over by weeds, as movement within it is somewhat difficult simply because of the fact that the work is not progressing. This unit has been in the news quite recently after the Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Frida Prempeh, raised some concerns about the fact that the project cost remains the same despite a reduction in the number of housing units that are to be provided for. We know for a fact, and from the communication from the Deputy Minister, that just about a little over 400 of the housing units are actually be completed and ready to be commissioned, but a good number. You recall that this particular phase of the project has to do with 1,500 housing units provided in a housing units project that is supposed to provide 5,000 housing units. So in terms of the situation here, we can say that work is not progressing because it's been abandoned, and the second fact being that no one has taken residence at any of the housing units that are completed as we speak to you. Reporting for Joy News from Saglemi, my name is Joseph Akable.
Well, Minister for Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, believes monies meant for the project were misappropriated, hence the investigation by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, as well as the Attorney General into the project. He says that until it is concluded and basic amenities provided for the area, the apartments will remain unoccupied.
You're trying to sort of preempt my press conference. The Saglemi structure that we see over there is a huge trouble. If we should go into why it's not being inhabited, I mean, we'll go into crisis. But I can assure you that there's a challenge in terms of how the monies were faithfully applied to the project. Matters that the Attorney General will have to look at and EOCO should investigate. They do not have what we call the requisite infrastructure and amenities for people to go and inhabit the place. They do not have water facilities. They do not have decent drainage system. And therefore, the monies intended for the project has been spirited away with this kind of white elephant we're seeing. So we need to bring the proceedings to a close, get credible people to complete the structures, and then when we have the amenities like water, electricity, and sewage systems, people could go over there and live there.
Now, the Ghana National Fire Service says it suspects a snap in some chains and metals holding the plasterboard ceiling at the Accra Mall caused it to collapse on Thursday. Speaking to Joy News after some structural assessment at the mall, Accra Region Fire Commander Ebenezer Simpson stated that but for some trained fire wardens at the mall, a stampede could have occurred. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Activities here at the Accra Mall have reduced considerably. We were at the food court where we were able to count the number of people who were seated there. We've seen personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Police Service, and then the National Disaster Management Organization. An officer at the airport police told us that 20 police officers have been deployed here to make sure that everything is in order. 5 shops here around the affected area where the incident happened remain closed. This includes the Huawei shop, the electronic hub, the iStore. All of them remain closed, are closed right now as contractors go about fixing the challenge. We've been interacting with the Accra Regional Commander of the Ghana National Fire Service, Ebenezer Simpson. He says his outfit suspects a snap in some metals and chains holding the plasterboard ceiling at the Accra Mall actually caused it to cave in.
We suspect that we saw some metal strips that holds the ceiling in place. There was a failure. We suspect a failure of the metal strips that hold the ceiling. That is why the ceiling fell. The ceiling caved in. If they were holding the ceiling in place, this thing wouldn't have. Over the years, we have been training the fire wardens here as to how to evacuate such premises. The traders, the customers who come there, how to evacuate them so that they avoid any form of stampede or panic. That was exactly what happened yesterday. We have trained the fire wardens here. They were able to evacuate those at that portion of the mall to safety. Even though there was the minimum casualty, but it could have been worse if we had not given them the appropriate training over the period.
I've also been speaking to a man who works about 50 meters away from the affected area. Kwabena Ofe has been telling me about the scary moments when they all heard the noise from the collapsed ceiling.
Yesterday it was very scary. We all thought maybe the building was just going to collapse because in a minute the POP board started dropping, and we thought that maybe the building was collapsing, so we all decided to escape. I think even for me, I felt like 5 times because Charlie was terrific, and then we were able to make it out. So it was very scary in the sense that we heard some time back that a pastor said that some bomb explosion. Yeah, so at that very moment, we all thought maybe there was going to be there was an explosion or something. So that was the mindset. So we all had to make our way out, and that was the part that I was so scared. You know, if you were here, you would have just take off, because the whole thing was because of what do you call it? The plasterboard sound, which was so loud, and then for this middle spread, it's like some kind of echo. So you feel the sound and then the vibration. So the first thing that comes in mind is, oh, the building is collapsing. So you just have to make your way out.
Well, Nicholas Solomon is a professional project and facility manager. He joins me for some analysis on this particular issue. Good evening to you, Nicholas.
Good evening, madam. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking. Now, officials of the Accra Mall, the management, have said that, they undertake regular maintenance of the mall. In fact, they tell us they do it on a quarterly basis, on a weekly, and sometimes on a daily basis. But from your experience and from your perspective as a professional project and facility manager, if the mall is being regularly maintained in such a manner, is that supposed to happen?
Thank you very much. I would want to start from looking at maintenance, generally as a whole. I think that in our field of work, there are different kinds of maintenance. There's preventative, there's reactive, and there's some other forms. And like you rightly said, I think that they have a proper maintenance manual that helps them to do maintenance on weekly, daily, quarterly, and annually basis. From what I saw, the video and all the pictures that I saw, I would like to think that it looks more to me like a plasterboard ceiling that has caved in and came down in that manner. I'm not too sure of it, but I think we'd have to wait for the investigative bodies to come out with the official report.
Indeed. From what the authorities tell us, it is indeed the plasterboard ceiling that caved in.
Okay.
That's the initial explanation that they're giving us.
Okay. I mean, on top of my mind, I mean, one of the main reasons plasterboard can come down in that manner could be that maybe it is being soaked with water from probably air-conditioned wastewater or rainwater. Maybe there's a roof leakage or anything of that sort. And so when that happens, it weakens the bonding strength of the plaster board up there. So when that happens, when it soaks the water for a very long time, it is able to break down in that manner. But I mean, that long time can be even in a day. You know, and recently I think that there has been two main heavy downpour rain that happened recently. So it could be that it's been soaked for a few hours or a day or two that can cause that level of incident.
Now, we've heard other experts say that, you know, sometimes the kind of monitoring or the assessment they do is visual. So they go there and they look at the structure and they are satisfied with it. But then this happens. So is it satisfactory to just look at the structure and, you know, just walk away, you know, satisfied that it will not collapse?
Well, when it comes to plasterboards, I mean, apart from the material composition and all that, you can't really do any major chemical or technical test on the plasterboard. Normally what happens is that if it is soaked with water, you would see certain drawings of dampness. You see, even when you do a visual test around, you can see that some parts are damp with the water, or you can even see mold growth on the plasterboard. If that happened, if it was actually water that soaked it, then that is visual enough for them to have handled it before the incident. But I don't know exactly what could have been the cause of that caving in. If it's water, then it's something that they should have seen.
We are still waiting.
Generally, looking at plasterboard ceilings, some last for more than 35 years without any issues with it, except that when there is flooding, I mean, outside the country, when there's flooding that gets to the roofing level, it is advised that after drying and it doesn't still look good, then you have to change the plasterboard ceiling as a whole.
From your experience, tell us, what would experts, you know, in charge of things like this, maintenance, be looking out for? For example, the factories inspectorate. What would they be looking out for in such instances? Okay,
I mean, like I rightly said, I think that generally a visual test. Okay, I mean, when the managers of the mall go there every day, especially when there's a rainfall, it is proper for the technical guys to go into the ceiling and make sure that there's actually no leakage from the roofing. Okay, because once water starts seeping in from the roofing, it settles on the top of the plasterboard. Then such things are expected. But I might say that I'm very impressed with the level of emergency preparedness and the business continuity that went on at the mall yesterday. I think that for some time, what they did was that after a few hours, they opened some other parts of the mall for business, and that is very paramount. And I think that they did a good job with managing the situation and the business to continue. Because at the end of the day, people have invested, people have hired stores in there, and they need to continue business. So, I mean, I think that on that level, it went down well.
And very quickly, for a facility that has huge numbers coming in on a daily basis, how often should the maintenance be done?
You know, like I said earlier on, there are different kinds of maintenance. There's reactive, there's corrective, there's reliability, there's preventive. So for such a facility, there should be, you know, what is happening now, maybe they are putting some corrective measures in place. But for preventive, like I'm saying, when there's a heavy downpour, I mean, it's appropriate for the more authorities to go around and do a visual inspection. Where it needs a technical inspection, they need to go around and do all that every day that there's such instances. But generally, once they have their maintenance manual put in place properly and they have all these different kinds of maintenance done well, then there shouldn't be any problem. I mean, I hear some people say that the building has lasted for 11 years, but 11 years is very small compared to other buildings. I mean, a modern building, 11 years is just like 16% of its whole life cycle. And so the mall is not an old building, and so such things shouldn't be something that should be part of it.
Okay, many thanks. And you heard Nicholas Solomon. He is a facility and maintenance expert there. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Araba Kumsi. We're taking a short break. You're welcome back. Now, the quest by an 18-year-old girls prefect of the Ewutu Winton Senior High School to challenge the concept of leadership in schools has got the country talking, especially on social media. 18-year-old Hannah Jiman's interview posted on Facebook has been shared by over 2,000 people and watched 132,000 times. Hannah in the interview says rather than elect a girls prefect who is subservient to the male school prefect, there must be one gender-neutral prefect, which position will be contested for by both sexes. She explains the current arrangement indoctrinates young girls to be inferior at a very young age and shapes their thinking through life into adulthood. Let's hear how she argues her point.
Of my school, and we have the boys prefects who automatically become the senior prefect or the school prefect and automatically the chairman of the SRC. And when it happens that way, it makes us feel inferior unconsciously. For instance, the boys prefect or the school prefect can walk straight to the headmaster's office, go and say something, and it would be taken seriously by, say, me. If I enter the headmaster's office, he will even tell me that go and come back. Okay, so when it happens that way, it creates that environment that we are always staying aback, and then guys are always automatically, we allow them to take the lead, and then it follow us through our lives to the extent that when we get to the workplace, we encourage men to go for the sensitive positions while we stay back.
So they vote for their positions for boys prefect and girls prefect.
Girls prefect. But automatically the boys prefect becomes the school overall school prefect and the chairman of the SRC.
And you don't want that?
I don't want it.
How do you want it to be done?
A portfolio should be created for school prefects, regardless of your gender. So if I'm a female and I contest for the school prefect and I win, automatically I becomes the school prefect, not the girls prefect. If a boy also wins, fine, he's the school prefect. So they shouldn't create girls prefect who is in charge of girls and boys prefect who is in charge of the whole school.
If, for instance, you were to contest with another boy for the position of school prefect, do you think that the boys are going to vote for you to become the school prefect?
Obviously not, except few who thinks that you can do the work, because the society has created that code that there's no way a guy will vote for me. If he would, maybe for personal reasons. And then girls too. You know, girls, we have that attitude when our fellow ladies are trying to climb higher, we tend to bring them down. And now we have even created a special name for this scenario. We call them PhD, pull her down. So you see, until we erase that notion from our minds that we can't go higher, girls, you are inferior, sit back. I think that this gender equality thing, we will talk and talk and talk about it, but still we wouldn't make any headway.
But then talking about the elections in the school, and you talking about admitting the fact that the boys are not likely to vote for you, and even the girls are not likely to vote for you. So isn't that where the problem is? So not so much about what the school has done in the past.
No, it is something that has been there from the scratch.
So we've been sharing this on our social media pages, and it's gotten quite a number of likes and reactions and, in fact, shares. So let's go to Facebook now. It has 872 comments were elicited by that particular story. 2,171 people have shared this story, or it's been shared 2,171 times, and it has been viewed 145,000 times. 145,000 145,000 times. So let's go to some of the comments and reactions. Letitia Amwakwa Chum says, my dear, you have a point, but let me tell you, there is nothing like gender equality. Men and women can never be the same or equal. Get that right. A man's way of thinking is different from a woman. Okay. Pat Wizzy says, Letitia Amwakwa Chum. So he's responding to the earlier the lady. He says, may the good Lord bless you for your understanding of this gender equality thing, but it's destroying families in Europe and most of the Western world. Everyone needs to know there are limits. Gina Kwa writes, say that to your children. Arnold Gray says, wise woman, always got love around. And Dinko P says, I beg, can't read a sensible comment from a lady from a very good home, raised by good African parents. If this world had even half of its female population thinking like this Letitia, the world would have been a far better place than it is. Felix Venyo Jakbala says, Bible made men the head. If you don't believe school prefect can be given women even without voting, but at the end you will surely see the difference in performance as compared to men, really. And he continues, of course she will share her insights with her children, and I pray that they will be blessed with wisdom that many of you women lack. Well, so those are some of the, well, out there on the streets, although the support is not that impressive. Well, we've been asking people on the streets what they make of her thoughts.
I think that sounds good on the record, but going beyond the record too, I think I would vary my thinking, because at the basic and secondary school level, there's no constitution regulating their elections. And these prefects are elected by the student body. So if we actually try to vary that, we can allow anybody at all to become the senior or school prefect. The challenge you will also be suffering from. It's possible that we can get both girls elected as senior and assistant senior prefect, or both boys elected as senior and assistant senior prefect. So in that case, it's very difficult to manage issues that come from the other side of the sex. So I'll be thinking that if that is the case, we want to go that way. Then we'll be looking at how possible we can put measures to ensure that if the senior prefect is a lady, then the assistant should be a guy, or if the senior is a guy, the assistant should be a lady. But to allow it that very open, we might also be creating another problem that will not have cure.
My understanding and how I'm digesting it, I see it to be more of encouraging them. So have you also thought about this, whereby it will be only a male dominant, male prefect dominant, without any assistant? It can happen. But I believe that as time goes on, they realize that pushing the girl child or ladies to be assistant, they understand what the male do. Then probably maybe they can build on it to build their life wherever they find themselves.
A man with a kind of heart can go around, see whatever and tackle. Unlike a woman can go and see something happening and cannot do as the man will do. So it is sometimes good for them to, let's say, put it in an equal form. If a lady is to rule the whole school, the lady can do. If a man, but the question is, can the lady do as the way the man can do? So sometimes we need to also put certain consideration.
All right, joining us now on the telephone line is former Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Michael Nsoa. Good evening and many thanks for your time, sir.
Good evening, madam.
Now, how did this convention become widely acceptable in our basic schools? Give us the historical background.
Well, there's no convention and there are no rules. Mm-hmm. My own experience with basic school prefectship is that the children or the students always look for somebody who is brilliant, who will not, let me put it in commas, disgrace the school if he or she has to go out there and be asked to make a speech. So invariably, it's the brilliant. If it is a girl who is brilliant and can speak in public, the children prefer this person. So be it a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter. So that's the way I see elections in the basic schools. But invariably, you tend to see more boys, occupying that position because maybe, I don't know, they always come to right.
Do you agree with the assertions that it makes girls subservient to boys?
No, no. As I said, from my own experience, the students or the children are always looking for a brilliant student. As I said, who will not, so to speak, disgrace them if he or she has to make a speech when they go to a function or that kind of thing. And anytime they speak, you hear them cheering them on, and that is it. So for me, that is the way I see it. And when it comes to voting, anytime they vote and there's this, if it's a mixed school, then whoever comes first as the prefect, in gender terms, then automatically the assistant will have to be from the opposite side. That's the way these things are structured in the basic school.
Well, this young girl is, championing an agenda. She says that the position must be gender neutral. So it's just either head boy or head girl and not girls prefect or boys prefect. How does this come across to you?
Oh, no, I don't have any problem with that designation. In secondary school, it's school prefect and not boys prefect. It's school prefect. So whether it's a girl or a boy, it's school prefect. The same way, if the person is advocating for the same designation at the basic primary and GHS level, I don't have a problem with that.
So you're saying that in the secondary schools, you have a school prefect. You don't have boys prefect, you don't have girls prefect separately.
No, it's the school prefect. It is school prefect, not boys prefect or girls prefect. School prefect.
Well, okay. Many thanks for your perspective on this. And that's former Director General of Ghana Education Service, Michael Nsoa. But Esenam Amuzu is with Curious Minds. She joins me via Skype. Good evening to you, Esenam.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me.
I'm sure you've heard the young ladies call that the position of senior prefect of a school, secondary school, should be gender neutral, and that we should discard with the idea of head girl and head boy and rather just go for head prefect. How does this come across to you?
Well, I strongly really agree with her, and I was very glad when I saw the video because it's something that, as a youth advocate and a gender advocate myself with Curious Minds, something we've been discussing for a while. I experienced this when I was also in secondary school because then we had a school prefect and everyone looked up the boy as the school prefect, and then when we have a girls prefect, whom there was the assumption that is the prefect for the girls. And so if there is something that has to do with authority, if the school wants someone to come and give an order or something, they would always go for the school prefect. But then if it has to do specifically with girls, we are all looking up to the girls prefect. And so I do really agree with her that, look, it's high time that we scrap that whole stuff up, and then it should be school prefect. If a girl wins, fine. If a boy wins, fine, with the exception of the gender-specific schools. But for the mixed schools, we should just have a school prefect. So I really, really agree with her.
And so how do we start the process of change? If we are to change the narrative, how do you suggest we start the process?
I think it starts from where the problem is. And the problem is in our school. And it's not even just in the secondary schools. When you go even to the JHS level, you still find some of these things there. So at the JHS level, there's still a school prefect who is usually the boy, and then there's a girls prefect. And so then it starts with institutionalizing this in our school. If it is GES we need to get, then fine. If it is something that is stated in GES book, let's look at how we can take it off. We can call for an amendment to take it off. But if it is something that socialization has brought upon us, and that was something she mentioned, that when you look at this, it is an issue of socialization. We came to meet it. And so we got to school, and when they mentioned the school prefect, everybody was looking at the board. And so we also ended up looking at the board. And we get out there. And she also mentioned something key. In the secondary school, if you are the school prefect, you automatically become the chairperson of the SRC. And it's always the boys. And the girls go to the SRC, and they are either, they are not even assistants. They have other positions there. And so I think it starts from the school. If we make it that, okay, we have the school prefect position. Let's put people there. Let's not put girls for girls or boys for boys. If we have 5 candidates and there are 3 boys and 2 boys and the students vote, we know this is what the students choose. And so I think that is one key process. And then going back to the school, empowering the girls. And she also mentioned the long-term psychological effects and it, or even right from that part, how it affects the girls. So the girls now go elsewhere, and then when you mention some key positions, they are indirectly, because we have been kind of oriented. It will only take some form of extra work on a girl to say that, okay, when she gets into such positions or she's in such an area, she also wants to stand up and say, I can do this that people think only boys should do it. Unfortunately, sometimes when you have the girls going in for that, we have people then now suppressing them and saying, you think you are bossy, you think you can do this.
Right.
That shouldn't happen.
Okay.
So when they stand up and they say they want that, they should be empowered or encouraged to go for it. So I think it starts right from the JHS level. If it is happening at the primary level, we should tackle it from there right to the secondary level, and then moving up, we can get that kind of change. All
right. Many thanks for your time. That's Esenam Amuzi. She's with Curious Minds. Thank you for your perspective on that particular debate. You're still watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a short break. You're welcome back. Now, the teacher who caned a 4-year-old kindergarten 2 pupil for allowing her brother to do her homework has been suspended indefinitely. The girl sustained severe bruises on her arms and back after she was caned. The headmaster of the New Page School, Amorin Tobias, apologized to the girl's father and said it is not common practice for teachers to cane pupils in his school. He spoke with my colleague Maxwell Agbagba.
So we've closed on Wednesday, went home. The next week, when I came to school, just we told this happened. This what happened at the crèche. So not long after, the child's father came with the child to the school. So we sat down and we talked and showed me what has happened. So I made an apology to him for wrong to be the check concern that under 6 years you're not supposed to use cane on the kids.
Wait, for children under 6 years?
Yes, you're not
children under 6 years, you're not supposed to use canes. Well, what about those above 6 years?
No, we don't use cane in teaching and learning. We don't use that. Occasionally, if a child is so difficult, I'll use that word, or may I say indisciplined, we use that lightly.
No, but you know, the Ghana Education Service has actually banned corporal punishment in schools.
No stuff.
Basic school, secondary school. No, so even if occasionally you use it, you're still flouting the GS directive.
I'll come there. No staff is allowed to use cane.
Okay.
Only the headmaster. For correction. And as a master too, I must look into the case. When I need to call the parents in, I do so. But normally, hardly is the case used. I'm disturbed, I'm worried, I'm angry, because severally I speak that we don't use cane to teach. We use cane as a pointer. Now, what happened? I stand here now, I don't know what to say. But I said he must be suspended indefinitely. And that I passed on to him yesterday, and that is that.
Okay. So as we speak now, the teacher has been suspended indefinitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, scores of residents of Kisi, a town in the Komenda Edina Eguafo Ibrahim municipality in the central region, have been forced to sleep in classrooms and put up with others after a downpour Thursday night that flooded or left large swaths of the town underwater. Officials of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, are attributing the disaster to choked gutters and the indiscriminate disposal of waste in the town. There's more in Richard Kwejunyako's report.
The 4-hour downpour was accompanied by lightning and thunder. Electricity supply to the community was cut off. Homes and business centers in the town have been flooded, leaving residents no option than to sleep in classrooms and put up with people in neighboring communities. Affected residents are unhappy and are pleading for help.
10:30 to 11.
We slept around 10 p.m. Then suddenly, I realized my room was flooded. My television, fridge, phones were all soaked in water. My neighbors had their rooms flooded too. I am distraught. I believe it's the rubbish in the gutter that caused this.
I believe the gutter in front of our house caused this problem. My entire room is flooded. Many other areas are flooded.
The National Disaster Management Organization attributes the disaster to choked gutters in the town. They blame residents for contributing to the disaster by throwing waste into the drains. Patrick Obeyeboa is the NADMO coordinator in the Komenda Edinafu Egwem Ebrim municipality.
The little that I observed, my opinion is about the drainage. You see, normally we also need to change our mentality. You see, when there is a cloud, even if the rain is about to fall, what we normally do is that we put the refuse into the gutter. The idea is that, when it rains, it will wash it over. But sometimes, who knows what is going to do? Sometimes it will get to a certain point and it will choke just within the gutter. And that is the main problem we saw this morning.
Municipal Chief Executive for Komenda Edinafu Egwem Ebrim Municipality, Nana Epiakran, wants residents to undertake communal labor to desilt the gutters immediately. He warns them against throwing their waste into the drains. Nana Epiakran says the community needs urgent help and the Assembly will liaise with the appropriate authorities to gather the needed relief items while a comprehensive assessment is being done.
And a very great, what do I say, they are very much worried. And what has happened to them is in fact, is more than I can say. But my advice to the people is, in fact, the way of behavior, they should stop dumping into the drains. No matter what the drain is done, since we've not gotten money to cover the gutters, in fact, and the habit is to throw the rubbish into the... In fact, when we go behind the market, the other day when we came here, in fact, I instructed the assemblyman to see to that a communal labor is done.
Now, West Hills Ridge Company has officially opened the first phase of the Eden Heights, providing over 600 apartments to home seekers. The facility offers 1 to 4 bedroom apartments and penthouses within a gated community with world-class social amenities. While speaking at an event in Accra, Minister for Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, said the facility will reduce the 1.7 million housing deficit. Emmanuel Jivenu has more.
Eden Heights is a luxurious residential development that offers 1 to 4 bedroom apartments and penthouses within a gated community. The master planned development, located close to the West Hills Mall here in Accra, provides residents with convenience, comfort and security. Speaking at the launch of Eden Heights in Accra, Minister for Works and Housing Samuel Atachia lauded West Hills Ridge Company Limited for the initiative in reducing the 1.7 million housing deficit in the country. He said it is President Akufo-Addo's vision to create the enabling environment for Ghanaians to afford decent homes.
For the ordinary worker, it's been defined that if you could use 30% of your income to service a mortgage loan, so that ultimately within a span of, say, 15 to 20 years, you can own a property, then that house is affordable. And this is the vision of the president, to bring Ghanaians to the point that they can say, I've done a lot of good work for Ghana. I've been working with the civil service and even private individuals, and they can have homes which are theirs. Ministry of Finance and my ministry trying to put together a credible guarantee system that if these investors will be able to bankroll the projects, over time they will be paid.
Deputy Director General of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, Michael Addo, indicated the trust has provided 7,000 housing units to Ghanaian workers and will continue to partner governments in doing more.
Today,
SSNIT has partnered other entities to deliver about 3,500 apartments through joint venture companies. West Ridge Company Limited is one of such several ventures in the real estate sector. The trust has directly delivered over 7,000 housing units across the country, and quite recently, we also collaborated with government and are working to complete and make available for sale over 1,400 affordable apartment units in Borteyman. Very soon, over 1,000 apartment units in Asokore Mampong will also be ready for sale to the public.
Acting Managing Director of West Hills Ridge Company, Emmanuel Ansah, said the Eden Heights is built to meet the housing needs of many home seekers.
This is the development that we have come with. Depending on the market reaction to it, we are looking into the future to see if it's possible to go for some more affordable houses as well. But, you know, in every market, there are various needs. And for this time, we've decided to meet this particular need. And thereafter, we'll be able to look at other needs. The West Hills area is an area that a lot of people are moving to. It's not too far from McCarthy Hill. These days, you have a lot more people even moving all the way to Kaswa. And we feel that with the presence of the mall, you have everything in one place. You don't have to travel far off. So we thought it was a good location to have this development.
The event was attended by the First Lady Rebecca Ikufadu, who officially launched Eden Heights, where luxury has its new destination. Emmanuel Givenus reports for Joy News.
Unveiled by the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Rebecca Akufo-Addo.
Now, 20-year-old law student at the University of Ghana, Regina Apalu, will have the opportunity to fly on the hot air balloon as part of Cowbell in the Sky experience. The level 200 student of the Elizabeth Say half was the lucky Elizabeth Say Hall, I beg your pardon, was the lucky winner from a pool of over 500 entries. She told Komladum it's a dream come true for her.
Excitement, shock and surprise. It was a cocktail of emotions, likened to winning a jackpot or a lottery. Regina Apalu is still processing the prospects of joining a selected group of 15 individuals to fly on the hot air balloon.
You happen to be the only winner from the University of Ghana. So you are going to be flying in the Cowbell hot air balloon. Yes, this is your flight ticket. You are going to be in the hot air balloon.
Her roommates could only look on in awe. For Miss Apalu, it is a dream come true to fly on the balloon.
I never thought something like this would happen. I was even at my faculty, and then I just decided to come to the room. I never thought. He came here, but then he just came to ask me about the shirts and everything. I never thought you guys were going to come here.
We put it off then?
Yes, you really did.
So what are your expectations? What are you looking forward to beholding once you get the chance?
I'm hoping that it will be, a real dream come true, and that I'm going to have the best time of my life out there, and then probably be scared a little because I'm going to be like all the way up. Yes, I'm just hoping it'll be good.
But how did she get selected out of the hundreds of students of the Elizabeth Say Hall for this project? Freda Piaget is the organizing secretary of the hall.
All I had to do was issue a communique, with the instruction and all as to whoever wants to participate. So I issued a communique with the help of my publicity team, and then we just put everything across. So then getting Regina wasn't really difficult because she had a room number, she had a phone number, everything. So it wasn't really difficult. And I found out that wanting to fly at such very, very high height, has been one of her dreams. So then I conducted a background check on her, and I was like, okay, fine. If this is what you want, why not make her dream come true? Because we are enriching talent with entertainment. That's the name of our whole week. So why not make her dream come true and then cause a surprise? So she was really surprised.
Head of PR and events at Cowbell Ghana, Gideon Kodo,
says selected individuals will take turns to explore Ghana's beautiful landscapes between October 21 and 27.
In total, with partnership with Multimedia, we are going to be flying 15 individuals in the Cowbell Hot Air Balloon. But at the end of the day, it's about the experience that we are giving to them. It's about exploring Ghana and seeing how beautiful Ghana is from the sky.
Some students came out of their rooms to witness the surprise as the Cowbell Mama mascot led a team to present Regina with her tickets.
Now, Multimedia Seth Kwame Boateng has won the Young Professional Role Model in Journalism Award at the 2018 edition of the Transformational Leadership and Young Professional Role Model Awards. The awards held Friday is to recognize the contribution of young people to youth development and capacity building. It comes at the back of a conference on skills training for the youth organized by Young Professionals Coalition. Here is Philip Ankra's report.
The yearly conference is held to build the capacity of the youth with entrepreneurial and leadership skills needed for rapid nation building. Organizers are confident it will equip the over 1,000 young people from all over the country with quality leadership and entrepreneurial skills to excel in their professional fields. This year's program was held on the theme Repositioning Entrepreneurship for Rapid Job Creation. Addressing the participants, Employment and Labour Relations Minister Ignatius Bafwewa revealed government will re-examine the National Youth Employment Programme to train the beneficiaries in entrepreneurial skills.
What we're going to do is that we are going to rather make entrepreneurs within your 2 years of mentorship. Your 2 year in YEA will be a form of mentorship or a form of skill training so that by the time you exit, you have a skill to be on your own and you don't need to depend on anybody for employment again. And I want to make sure, and I want to promise Ghanaians, that come next year, we are going to roll that out and then we'll move away from this traditional way of handling those things.
Former Minister for Tourism and Creative Arts Elizabeth Ofuswejari called for more attention to be paid to entrepreneurial skills education.
The first point of call should be for us to pay attention to entrepreneurial education, which is essential not only to shape the mindset of young people, but also to provide the skills and knowledge that are central to developing an entrepreneurial culture. If our educational systems pay more attention to entrepreneurial education, we will be able to give students motivation, knowledge and skills essential for launching a successful venture company.
In his address, former Minister of State at the Office of the President, Rashid Popo, charged the youth to see entrepreneurship as a means of changing the unemployment story of the country.
I'm very confident that those of you who have decided to come here to listen are people who have made a decision already that they are not going to be poor any longer.
This year, 5 individuals were awarded for their immense contribution to youth development and capacity building. They included Multimedia's Seth Kwame Boateng, who was honored with the Youth Professional Role Model in Journalism Award.
Plying your trade with professionalism, tact, discipline, and strict adherence to ethical standards. You are now YPYC Role Model, Most Distinguished Transformational Leader, an elite listing of influential and inspiring young leaders. YPYC on this singular and memorable occasion recognizes you as a media luminary without compare among your contemporaries. On this 12th day of October 2018, the Governing Council of YPYC on behalf of all members and the youth confers on you the most respectable title, Young Professional Role Model in Journalism and Media Excellence 2018.
For Joy News, Philip Ankra's report.
Well, as you may have noticed, Seth Kwame Boateng could not pick the award in person. He's currently in the UK studying and joins us via Skype from Leeds. Hello, Seth. Congratulations are in order. You won the Young Professional Role Model in Journalism Award. I mean, here at Multimedia, we know the work that you've been doing. But tell me, how did you feel when you were told you had won?
it was very humbling, and I've been sad from yesterday that I couldn't make it to Ghana to receive this prestigious award. When I was told that I had been nominated for this award, I was shocked because there are 1,001 journalists in this country. There are senior journalists, top journalists in this country. So why me? But when I interrogated, I got to know that they have been following me for the past years. They've been following what you've been doing at Joy News. So it's humbling that I've been honored as a role model, and it's a lot of work, Araba, because I have millions of youth in Ghana looking up to me. So though it's humbling and exciting, I'm feeling the pressure already.
But it's very well deserved, Seth, I must say. But this award recognizes the contribution of young people to youth development and capacity building. There are many who argue that the likes of you are in the minority and that the youth is failing the country because many of them are not ready to sacrifice and even contribute their quota in building the country. You agree?
Yes, I agree. And I keep asking myself, how many of the youth of today would be willing to accept a job offer as a receptionist? Mind you, I started as a receptionist and I keep talking about it. I saw an opportunity, but how many of us are willing to accept the slightest opportunity, the tiniest, that will come to us? We want it big. We want everything prepared for us. We don't want to start from the scratch. I don't think that's how we should go. If you really want to make it, you should start from somewhere. When a small opening comes, you should take advantage of that instead of waiting for a bigger opportunity. A bigger opportunity wouldn't come unless you work for it. And I think I am who I am today because I probably worked for it, starting as a receptionist to this level, because I saw an opportunity. And I will tell the youth that it's good to work hard. It's good to start from the scratch. Don't think that you always get society prepare things for you so that you will not suffer for anything that you will be enjoying. No, we don't do that.
All right. Seth, you and I know that we are in a social media era where young people are mostly influenced by what they see and hear. What do you think is required to get younger people to take a vested interest in the national activities that would actually help us progress faster as a country?
So, Raf, what we are doing, we are using social media to communicate. Speaking good, I must say, there are millions watching me. They can learn from this. There are good and bad on social media. Don't always pick the bad ones. You can learn from the bad ones, but pick up the good ones as well. Sacrifice is key. Don't wait don't wait to be told to sacrifice before you do that. So social media is good, but it's not the ultimate because you can learn other things from it. And most of the things we are doing are on social media. It saddens me that most of us, the youth of today, would want to use social media for other purposes instead of learning. It can take you far, but it can also worsen your plight, if I may say.
All right, Seth Kwame Boateng, congratulations are in order again, and we can't wait to see you again. I'm sure this is not the last for you. You will be winning a lot more awards. Thank you for joining us.